After 1926, we by policy removed it from the public schools, and from the first 5 years of commitment school in 1987, by trustee's order, we would not speak the language. We would beat students who do that. Something needed to save who we are as a distinct people, and again, it wasn't institutions, it wasn't big business, it was single, visionary, powerful individuals and leaders. And I was just kind of right place at the right time, back in the 70s when innately, instinctually, I wanted to know who I am by knowing where I come from. And in the absence of things Hawaiian in schools, I had no idea how the Hawaiians got here. I had no idea what our ancestral homeland is. That was absent because we chose to forget to teach it. But I was lucky. The two things about seeking your heritage and love of the ocean, two things that I was taught by my family as a young child, never really worked together until I did things like paddle for Nainoa Canoe Club. And we practiced in Maunalua Bay by Hawaii Kai, and we would launch our paddling canoes into a canal, and we would go practice and so forth. But what happened was, when I was a novice beat paddler, my first year, 1974, there was an extraordinary visionary that lived across the canal. In an old house that's long been torn down. He had a powerful dream. It was a very quiet dream. He knew of the heritage and the history of the voyagers and the navigators and the great canoes. He had this dream, and it was an old one that he had started contemplating in the mid-60s. So it was almost 9 years old, and yet he was very quiet about it. But what he had was these two 22-foot fiberglass surfing canoe hulls that were lashed together with 4x4 posts and a Hobie Cat sail on it. Then he'd come to the canoe club to go get volunteers to paddle him outside the reef at Maunalua Bay so he could sail. He couldn't do it by himself. So he'd come over, and I just wanted to learn anything I could about the ocean. So every time he'd come, I'd go and help paddle his canoe. I was playing on the ocean, catching the wind, and having no idea what this canoe symbolized in this man's dream. Historian, arguably by many of the, in modern times, Hawaii's greatest artist, and, dreamer. He had that canoe, and he was testing his dream, and it was a late spring evening. He came over to the canoe club, and he was recruiting crew members for his dream. And he went and got, he was hunting down the Hawaii's top watermen, the best in the ocean. And we had two great ones, the two head coaches, one was Kalaf and Kea. And you probably don't know him, but I would say, knowing him, probably the most talented ocean man that we had in Hawaii at this time. And then Billy Mitchell, two Kamehameha Schools graduates. And then I guess, and I never ever asked her why, but I think because I went so many times, like baboos, you know, young, novice paddler, don't know nothing, and he invited me too. And so over to his house to have dinner in his old beat up wooden house on the other side of the stream. And, you know, we went inside his house, and it's those kind of single moments through connections of things, your whole world changes. Around the wall, I counted 19 oil paintings of voyaging canoes around the Pacific. Had no idea where those canoes came. Had no idea either what they symbolized or what they meant to my heritage. And it was at dinner where Herb starts to talk about this crazy idea. Building a voyaging canoe, sailing it to Tahiti, bringing back pride and dignity to ancestry. And I listened. But it was, when I got pulled into his dream, it was after dinner when we went outside into the yard, and he took us, our eyesight and our imagination up to these stars. These random dots of light that go over our head every single night. Chaos. And, we started to make order. from the North Star, he went to the eastern horizon, all the way down to the Southern Cross. And he said, these are the stars that we'll use to navigate down the sea road of our heritage. And it was that single moment that I in hindsight look back, that the power of the mental that will change and shift you. And it was like one. I instinctually knew that I was about to embark on a journey of extraordinary learning. And that I was going to embark on a journey that it was going to be a place on this canoe. I had the ability, in hindsight, to take all that rage. I'm Native Hawaiian. I'm Kupaina from this land. And why do I have to feel second rate in its place? That you could take all that anger and all that rage that comes up with that sense of poor self-esteem and put it on the deck of the canoe and do something positive. And I knew that I was going to be a part of something extraordinarily special. Herb changed our way of thinking completely. Pacific Ocean. Largest single feature on planet Earth, 1/5 the total surface of the planet, Polynesian Triangle, defined by Hawaii in the north, Aotearoa, New Zealand in the southwest, and then Rapa Nui, East Island in the east. 10 million square miles, bigger than Russia, largest nation on Earth. Even though continental Polynesia is bigger than 3 times the size of the continental United States, you could fit all those islands into 1/3 the state of New York. 600 times more water than land, and it was explored and colonized starting 3,000 years ago. So Herb's new perception of who we are starts to say we come from an ancestry that were the greatest explorers of humankind in the time, and starts to shift everything. From genetic studies now to independent studies, we know that there's connections between Highlanders. Halfway across the world, the root language of the people of Madagascar is the same as the one to eat. In so many ways, they were global, they were extraordinary. It starts to shift how we see our history, therefore shift how we see ourselves. That's the power of the mentor and the dreamer from her. We generally know where the migrations came from. This, trust me, archaeology, botany, linguistics, overwhelming scientific information, and from oral traditions. They came out of the West. Next. The big question Herb was raising by building a canoe was answering the question, how did they do it? That simple question. How in the world did they make this exploration? How did they build big deep-sea voyaging canoes from limited resources, small islands? Next. How they sail open ocean passages more than 2,500 miles. Next. And how they navigate. How did they know where they were in just infinite tracts of open ocean? Herb was creating a challenge more than I think Herb understood. And that the outcomes of the challenge is more than he envisioned also. One of the real great challenges is how, in trying to figure out how you do it, the problem with forgetting. In a culture that kept everything orally, we didn't have the blueprints for the canoes. We didn't know how they trained. We didn't know the spiritual protocols. We didn't know how they made their sails. We don't know how they preserved enough food to make the long voyages. We don't know how to train. We were starting from ground zero because we were willing to forget.